Hello everyone, my name is Loco, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best-of-3 series of Terran versus Zerg. We're in the top left-hand corner in game number 1. We have none other than Dark, and his opponent, likewise also from South Korea, he goes by the name of Cure. Alright, well, Mr. Cure. I have seen him play quite a few passive games as of late, apparently not today. At the very least, we're gonna start off the series by sending a bunch of SCVs towards the other side of the map. Oh, we're doing a little ring around the rosy here. Ah. The SCVs just really wanted to build those barracks close to this little pond over here, you know? A couple little animals are living here, I'm sure. There'll at least be a bunch of frogs and snakes and snails and stuff, you know? Maybe some fish if you're really lucky. Probably some birds. Anyways, speaking of birds... Worst segue I've done in a while. Strangest looking birds over here, but they're all headed in the wrong direction. Dark is, however, rallying them all around. And he is gonna stumble upon the barracks eventually. Interestingly enough, Dark apparently is very concerned about Cure going for some proxy wrecks, because he does not necessarily rally his overlords like this every game. I have seen quite a few of Cure's games lately, and he's playing a pretty passive style of Terran, but apparently Dark thinks otherwise. There's a lot of mind games going on for sure, though. Honestly, yeah, at this point, even if you scout it, what are you gonna really achieve? You gotta save that overlord. Okay, he sees SCVs right now. Fly away. Where are we going? What? Do we not want to go for a pillar? Weird. I don't know how that saves you in any way, shape, or... but it's okay. SCVs moving to the front right now and are going to start up a bunch of bunkers. There's a couple holes in these bunkers. There's at least one over here. There's also one over there. Jimmy is not too concerned, though, at getting his gun dirty just yet, you know? He is gonna gun at the hatchery eventually. I think we could get started, but apparently we're just gonna chill. In the meantime, inside of the main base, Dark, apparently upon seeing this, has decided I'm gonna continue droning. We're gonna go straight into a roach warren. So I think he's, for the most part, giving up on the natural expansion. Dude, those... I think Cure actually thought he was stuck. There's no way. I think these SCVs can go in between, no? I think he didn't... There's no way. There's definitely space. Okay, Brenda is out. How much firepower is there truly, though, in these Marines? At this point, I think Cure must realize that something is a little off. Rather than going for the hatchery itself, he wants to just deal as much damage here as possible. There has to be room. No way. Anyways, roaches are coming up. He's gonna be able to morph in a few Ravagers. The question is Cure going to be able to kill the... Nah, he's definitely gonna be able to kill that hatch. No doubt about it. Dark goes for a creep tumor to at the very least try and secure this low ground for a little longer. But this is already off to a terrible start right here for the Zerg. Factory on the back of this for Cure. Yeah, the problem is, right, so he can make a bunch of Ravagers, which is nice and all. The problem is that they're quite pricey. 100 minerals, 100 gas for every Ravager. And it takes about 7 biles if you want to one-shot a bunker. About 7. Just to give you the exact number, 7. So, as long as there's less than 7... it's kind of difficult to kill a bunker, especially when SCVs are repairing it. Now, obviously, you can attack, rain the biles, attack again, and then try and engage at the same time. But if you're going to do it like this, assuming the SCVs are paying attention, it's going to take a while to break out of this. Yeah, so he is going to break out of the first one. What do we go for on the back of this, though? I think you pretty much always go for... I think you should fly that away. I think a Banshee would be amazing, because that would permanently shut this down. A Banshee and a command center is going to give Cure a massive advantage. Okay, yeah, he cancels the Cyclone, and he will be going for the switcheroo. Okay. So this is a pretty common defense against cannon rushes in particular. And in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup, your main concern is dealing with a Void Ray. You gotta get across the map before the Void Ray arrives. The thing is, Terran structures fly, And Banshees are basically like Void Rays that are a bit easier to build, so... I've got a feeling that Dark is just gonna slowly lose these Ravagers. He's droning on the back of it, but I'm not really in love with this for him. Okay, let's see. Banshee about halfway done. One Cyclone available. Okay, Dark's just gonna drive home. Well, there's no little wheels, I guess. They just went on a little stroll. Sometimes marching across the map is good for the troops' morale. These guys just got done fighting and, well, sometimes all you really want to do is stretch your 6 legs. Move around the map for a little bit. Stimpak is coming right here for Cure. Yeah. I think he's got a nice timing attack lined up. He will be moving a bunch of those SCVs to the low ground, and after a relatively aggressive early game here, he decides to play a very passive follow-up. So he could go for an attack with Stimpak, but honestly, if he goes 1-1 upgrades too, he should probably wait until the Stimpak upgrade, the combat shields, and 1-1 are all done. So we'll probably see him chilling here for the next couple of minutes. The dream team over here. The love story of a Banshee and a Cyclone. Laris coming up for Dark in the meantime. He's just adding on a bunch of workers here for the most part. Killing the Cyclone, I guess, is nice. Losing a Ravager, though, at the expense of a Cyclone, probably not quite ideal. Ooh, that was fun. You never really see them lined up like that. Okay. So despite the very aggressive start, Cure is now gonna lean back into his comfort zone. Third Command Center is gonna grow a little orbital command hat on top of itself. +1/+1 is researching. Yep. I think we're gonna see Cure march across the map as soon as those 3 upgrades are lined up. So Stimpak is already finished. He's gonna go for Medivacs, Siege Tanks, and Marines. It's a unit composition that can hit like an absolute truck, especially if you do produce Marines. Okay, there we go. You should probably produce quite a few of those. Evolution Chamber's coming up in the meantime on the other side, and we've got ourselves Roach Speed. Dark has done a good job catching up in the economy department. I'm just a little concerned for this next push here that Cure is going to go for. Alright. That is one of the positions for a supply depot. Because these Marines are just about to get a massive power spike. Medivacs are gonna ferry in some of the reinforcements. And I think at this point, Dark actually has no clue. He does not have any spotter units out on the map, so he does not know that there's a lot of Terran units just about to hit him in the face. There are some good siege tank positions on this map. Yeah, this is the first time that he sees it. Now we have quite a few Ravagers. 1-1 coming up, Roach Speed not done yet. And that's the real advantage that Cure has created for himself. He's just so far ahead now as far as the game's timings go. He can just target fire down the hatchery itself, and that one will fall. Good effort right here from Dark to try and get back into it, but ultimately I think this bunker rush. Not a very common strat that we see that much these days, but the bunker rush dealt a ton of damage. And now this double-layered push here from Cure is, I think, going to seal the deal. I mean, it might not necessarily force Dark to tap out of it, but he's gonna fall further and further behind. The one thing that he does have going for himself here is that the Terran forgot about the armory. So 2-2 upgrades not yet started here for Cure. One of the most commonly seen mistakes, actually, from Terran players these days still. It's kind of crazy, man. This has been a problem since 2010. How are the armory timings still not ingrained? We see so many games where Terrans are trying to start up 2-2 and they're like, ah, dang it. Couldn't do it. There we go. +2 starts up. +2 infantry armor as well. It's still possible, I guess, for Dark to come back. Yeah, one thing that Dark does do very nicely is control those infestors. So he's got 3 of them coming up. Roach Ravager Infestor, if you manage to fungal like in the middle of a clump of Terran units, Rain a bunch of biles on the siege tanks? It's still possible. We don't see it very frequently at this level of play, but Terrans do occasionally mess up. It's not very common, I guess, for Zergs to already go into infestors from this particular spot, so... Alright, here's the second push. Probably could have been close to 2-2, at the very least being... Yeah, mostly finished, I think. Like, probably about 30 seconds or so from finishing, which would mean that this particular attack, it would hit right around the time that 2-2 would be done. Either way, it all comes down to the fungal growths. Cure's army at this point is bigger as far as the supply count goes than Dark's, which is never a situation you want to be in. He has seen an infestor, I believe, trying to bait this Zerg army into the siege tank line of fire. Dark's still dangerous, though. Oh, what? Jimmy. Sorry, what? Why did we just execute Jimmy? What happened? One of you guys had to carry the punishment for that armory being... for that armory being late. I'm sorry. The killings will continue until morale improves. He probably told the Zerg. Yeah, so now it's a bit awkward, because he wants to wait until 2-2 is done. And this is ultimately going to allow Dark to max out. There is a medevac just patrolling in the top section of the map, sure. Okay. I still think this should be an easy cleanup here for Cure, but... Yeah, don't love that siege tank positioning. Decent fungal growth at the bottom. Man. Yeah, that armory timing honestly makes this game so much harder than it needs to be. Still though, Dark never got 2-2 going. It's a lot of Ravagers. This is what Dark does though, right? Like, he's been up with his back against the wall ever since the beginning of this game. And yet here we are. The man's very, very dangerous. Big fungal over there on all of the medevacs. They're taking a bunch of the damage. Another set of corrosive biles right there does connect with another siege tank. 3-3 fires up right here for Cure. So at the very least, that one is nice and quick. Ravager's thinking about collapsing on top of this army from every single angle. Is there enough for Dark to break through this? He's going to commit right now. Queens have been brought to the front as well. Corrosive biles are raining left, right, and center. Dark is trying to surround this army, and he's actually cleaning up all of the biological units. No way. Well, here he goes. This is his best opportunity. This is what he's been waiting for the better part of, I want to say, 10 minutes. Is there enough for the Zerg to overwhelm this army? One roach in the front to try and provide some vision. He does not have high ground vision of that siege tank, so that one will live for now. Planetary Fortress, 5th Command Center. I mean, Cure is playing this game like there's no Zerg opponent to worry about. Nah, I think he still has enough. Ultimately, he still has enough. But Dark made that very close. Here we go, game number 2. We find ourselves on the map Solaris. I will say, though, that ever since Jimmy got executed, that game did seem a little more difficult for Cure. Yeah, I think that may not have been the ideal choice. Also, the fact that he went 5 command center against the 3-base Zerg also is probably suboptimal, but ultimately his advantage after that early game was just so good that he could get away with it. So, now we find ourselves on the map Solaris. Low ground wall off, it seems like. Now Dark is not gonna do a very tricky Overlord pattern. That's a funny one in my mind too. Is this Overlord gonna check out a bunch of locations? Okay, well, relatively tame. Just a good old hatchery first right here from the Zerg. Double barracks opener for Cure. But with this particular positioning, he will be going for Reapers rather than Marines. Triple Reaper opener. Should be the norm. But sometimes a triple Reaper opener is done with 2 Reapers. Or sometimes it's done with 5. Some might argue at that point it's no longer a triple Reaper opener, but it is, okay? Hatch gas pool right here from Dark. So 16 hatch, 18 gas it looks like into a 17 supply spawning pool. It's kind of funny how this build has become one though, with so many variations. So this is actually not a double Rex. It's not even a triple Reaper opener. But to Dark, it looks like a triple Reaper opener. So the triple Reaper opener, yeah, it's one with like probably about half a dozen or so Reapers at the very least. So Dark sees this right now. And he will have to guess on whether or not there is also a third barracks in the main base. So even though these jump up locations here, right? They were meant, well, as a way for the opponent to be entering the Zerg's main base. Cure is now using it as a way to leave his own. Now he will find out, judging off of the timing, but already, rather than going for a really quick third base, he's prioritizing the link speed research. This used to be the gold standard for many years in SC2. But Zerg players got very greedy and started going for a third base before getting link speed started. Which is, I guess, one of the reasons why these Reaper openers once again became very popular. Like, strategies really are circular in SC2. Like, I've not seen a lot of Zergs take a ton of damage from these Reaper starts. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna fade out of popularity just a bit. I think they already are. Like, we still see them. But the more Zergs play against this sort of stuff, I mean, losing a queen would be good. For, you know, Cure, that is. Killing a queen, that is. But yeah, the more we see this build, the better Zergs are gonna be equipped against it, and the worse it's going to be for Terrans overall. Tech Lab coming up right now. We'll probably see another add-on here as well. Yep, there we go, a reactor. So this is gonna be one add-on. That's a Tech Lab, and then another one that is a reactor. Terrans for a long time decided to go double Tech Lab instead, to go Stimpack and Combat Shields at the same time. These days, what Terrans usually like to do is use one Tech Lab for both of the upgrades, and ultimately allows you to get more Marines going faster. It seems like this is actually a little bit better overall, even though your Combat Shields upgrade is so important. Usually the follow-up barracks are also gonna get reactors. So basically, until barracks number 5, with the exception of the first one, all of the barracks get reactors on them. And then after we get to a certain economy level, usually Terrans will add on 3 more barracks at that point, and all of those are gonna get Tech Labs. So ultimately you end up with 4 barracks that have reactors and 4 barracks that have Tech Labs on them. All of this is to say that the order in which Terrans get there is a little different these days than what it once used to be. Oh. It's a very dramatic supply depot. Still a good position though. Obviously, Dark does not shy away from any sort of Nidus worm play. Did you just move that one over there? What? It's a very strangely precision creep tumor, I'm not gonna lie. What? Why is Dark moving them like... That's the laziest creep tumor placement in a while. Why did you... Okay. I actually think that's a pretty big mistake. You really want to be spreading your tumors as far as possible whenever possible, you know. Not in real life. You probably don't want to do that in real life. But in a video game, yes. Great idea. Okay, so we should see the combat shields. One of the downsides, I guess, of this progression is that sometimes Terrans forget about their combat shield research. Not nearly as frequently as their armory timing, though. The armory timing is very frequently forgotten. I guess the combat shields is an actual visual change on the Marines themselves. Ooh, this is a good catch. Combat drugs activated, but... Oh, beautiful catch right here by Dark. That is gonna ravage this entire push. Yeah, it makes you wonder why Mr. Cure decided to even go for a move out in the first place. That shows you the importance of the medevacs. I think it's about time we execute Jimmy again, Cure. There he is. Look at him. All smug. Got him down. Okay, never mind. No. It's okay. Dude, the music in this game is still so sick. You know what's funny about the StarCraft music? How many times do you think I've heard this particular song? Like, I've cast many games. I've played thousands upon thousands of games too. I've watched tons of pro games. I've watched a lot of streams, video, whatever. I must have heard these guitar tunes so many times and I still think they're bangers. At least I've never gotten tired of the StarCraft 2 music. And the StarCraft 1 music neither, actually. StarCraft Brood War music is fantastic. It's one of the most undervalued things in game design. People never really talk about the audio and the music design. But I mean, for example, I recently played Dyson Sphere Program. And the music in that game is not bad, don't get me wrong. But after you play for a couple hours... At least, personally, I thought it was about time to mute the in-game music, because it just gets a little bit too epic. The StarCraft music is epic enough, but not too epic, you know? It's good enough to function as background noise. Although maybe some other people will disagree. Rally Poly upgrade's done right now for the Zerg. I actually think audio design is super critical in game design, yes. Like, the StarCraft units also sound really good. Right? There's very visual distinctions, obviously. Anyway, we have a big attack right here. Zerg trying to collapse on top of all of these units. And it looks like Cure is just gonna get shut down one more time. At least he can evacuate some of the units out there. Jimmy decided to take up an entire plane for himself. But yeah, there's always a lot of talk about graphic design in SC2, or I guess video games in general. People love discussing graphics, but audio design is actually super important. Oh, great targeting right here by Cure. Yeah, really just making the best of this scenario, but he's just taking too many losses. Coming in on the left. Excellent play right here by Dark. Now, the only thing I don't really like rare for Dark is the fact that he doesn't have that many workers. Yeah. So we're rushing out a hive. We've got ourselves an Ultra Cavern, Adrenal Glands, the whole shebang. But Dark is doing dark things. That's not blocking the base, I don't think. I selected it just now. His drone count is a bit low. It's difficult to sustain an army of Ling Bane with only 70-ish workers. He was sitting at like 60-ish for a long time there. Ba, da, dum, ba, bum, ba. This is very epic music, though. I guess there's also quite a bit of variety. I don't know exactly how much music there is in this game. Like, if you were to put it all in one file, it's probably several hours worth of music. Yeah, that's probably a lot to do with it as well. Doesn't get very tiring as long as there's just a lot of it. Having your own in-house music production is pretty sweet. I find that actually, especially when I upload other videos on, for example, YouTube on the second channel occasionally. This used to be more of an issue in the past, but occasionally there would be problems with copyrighted music. Because a lot of the smaller studios, rather than producing their own music, they outsource it to other companies, right? And they end up getting a license that allows them to use music of other companies in their games. So their games sound pretty amazing. However, usually that license does not include other people uploading content for those things. So it's been a problem in the past with copyright issues where YouTubers and live streamers and stuff can play the game, but they don't have the rights to broadcast the music. And it creates a very strange atmosphere. Now, luckily these days, gaming is pretty mainstream. And a lot of people realize that YouTube videos and live streaming and all that is pretty important to their game's success. So it's something that's considered nowadays, but especially when you play older games, it doesn't quite work out sometimes. Okay. Now, luckily here for Cure, this map does allow for a relatively easy fourth. It's quite far away, but it's up on a high ground. And with Widow Mines and Siege Tanks set up, and now a Planetary Fortress too, he is going to be able to secure that base that he absolutely needs. There's 3 hours and 19 minutes worth of music for StarCraft 2. Okay. That's a lot. That probably explains why I don't get tired of it. Not all of it is used in multiplayer, though. There's a lot of songs that are only played on very specific occasions. Anyways. Yeah, these choke points are really tricky. Talking to a bunch of pro gamers, it seems like the StarCraft 2 pro gamers have all concluded that the map pool is once again a Terran map pool. I don't know exactly how true that is. Not exactly sure if Solaris is considered to be an amazing map for Terran, but Dark is finally finding a bit of an angle over here. Widowmine's getting massive hits. That being said, though, was this the end of the world? Well, these SCVs, yeah, if they can get out, I think it's acceptable. My god, look at them. Left, right, and center. SCVs coming for the, or Marines rather, coming up for the backup. Okay. Contamination on the orbital command. Apparently the orbital command pilot can still land it just fine. Only 9 SCVs fall there. That was actually not really that big of an issue for Cure. He actually ends up with a bigger army, comparatively at least, than where he started. Okay. Well, the queens have arrived. They're here to transfuse the Ultralisk, but I've got a feeling that 1 Ultralisk and 4 queens with energy is not gonna be enough to shut down this entire Terran base. Although maybe Dark can make it happen. No, the Ultralisk is scared. It decides to run away. Only the queens are left over now. Okay. So Cure has been playing an active game, for the most part. I think it's about time we get to that, yeah, more passive approach instead. So Ultras are really nice when the Terran is stuck on a low-tier army. However, Terran is gonna go into the good old Ghost now. And the Ghosts are gonna be fantastic with their little snipes against those Ultras. Dark has decided to double down on the unit to try and overwhelm all of this, but I don't know if I agree with these pushes. Okay. So one option that Zerg has, I think it may be one of the strongest options, is to basically soft contain the Terran on 4 bases. So there's not really a whole lot that Dark can do about these bases that are already established. Sensor towers, Widow Mines, Siege Tanks, Liberators. I mean, how do you break this? Very difficult, right? However, what he can do is either fight the Terran player on creep if he decides to come across the map, or deny future expansions. So I really would love to see vision of this base over here and vision of this base over there. Yeah, so now this Zergling will spot that the Terran is headed on over in this direction in just a moment, okay? I think that's a great moment to either collapse on this base, or collapse on this one, for example, on the other side of the map. Or at least on the other side of where the Terran is located. That way you can at the very least prevent them from taking a lot more bases. Dark is headed on over in that direction, but it's actually a little too slow for my liking. Then again though, Terran's not quite established here yet. Man, I'm so scared to see all these Banelings clumped up together like that. Really? We're just gonna give him the 5th base, Dark? But like, why though? Terran, by the way, sitting at 69 SCVs. Nice. Sorry. I think we shut this down. Go, 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 go. Okay. Well, apparently what we do instead is load up a bunch of overlords. And we're gonna go for a mass Zergling doom drop. Whilst pushing over here as well. Okay. Zergling counter-attack over here as well. Push her in the bottom right-hand corner. Zergling's in the main base. Yeah! Take down that refinery! Big hits, big kills. Alright. Dark just trying to create as much chaos as possible. Solid crisis management here, though, by Cure. Yeah. Zerglings alone. Just don't cut it. A little bit of skeet shooting right here for the ghosts. Line them up! Pew, 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 pew. As we all know, that's what late game TVZ is all about. There it is. That is what Cure is aiming for. That's the sound of his dreams. Night is Worm on the back of this too. I wonder if we maybe should see a Corruptor switch instead. There's a very cost-inefficient fight right here for Dark, but he is starting to break through a lot of this. One hero Ultra going after the ghosts. That looked cool to me, man. 17.5 minutes into this game. Maybe that's a good shot for the thumbnail? I don't know. Dang, those Marauders are not messing around. Sudden Hydra transition. I don't know how I feel about the Hydra transition. Like, it's gonna be Hydraling Bane, which I guess makes more sense than Ultraling Bane. Hydraling Bane is really the only unit composition that's good against a ghost-based army, but as long as the Liberator count is growing, I think it's gonna be manageable here for the Terran. Now we're sitting only at 2 starports. I think you need a 3rd starport at this point in the game. Cure's kind of broke. Nidus Worm goes into the main base. Dark basically just trying to swarm all over the opponent. Building armor is done, which is a very nice upgrade, actually. Considering the aggression that Dark has been executing over the last couple minutes, I think building armor is one of the nicest upgrades that Cure could have gotten. Every structure has +2 armor now. Hydra's through that speed zone suddenly showing up. Liberator's in a little bit of trouble, but honestly, yeah. The Marine Marauder Ball is gonna deal with all of this just fine. One problem right here is that the Ghost Academy never got rebuilt. Cure? We have money. He must have tried to build a bunch of ghosts a few times already. Instead, he decides to double down on Liberators. I don't necessarily think he needs that many ghosts anyways, but if suddenly Ultras come out again, it could be a problem. Parasitic Bomb right there on a bunch of the Medivacs. Good split right there, though, from the Terran, but in the meantime, a Command Center goes down. Yeah, this has been very difficult for Cure for a while now. Dark is not quite in a game-winning position yet, but this is certainly an uphill battle now for our Terran. Look at the mini-map, right? Like, Dark's been spreading the creep everywhere. He's taken even that base that's considered to be the Terrans. Swarming wherever he can. Killing another command center here too? Okay. It's not a co-op game, Dark. Those are not Omega Worms that don't cost any money. That you just use to tank a little bit of the damage. Liberators have been amazing though lately, right? Like, not maybe in this game, but in general in SC2. They really have become such a powerful unit. Parabombs? Not bad. Remember a couple patches ago when suddenly the Liberators cost 25 less gas? Remember that? Everybody was wondering at the time, like, why in the world do Liberators have to be cheaper? Like, nobody was asking for that, but everybody was like, ah, whatever. I think the Void Ray ended up getting nerfed, so we're all pretty happy about it. That sneaky little Liberator push, or Liberator buff rather, that suddenly got pushed through for Terrans. Turns out to be very impactful in the meta a couple years down the line. Yeah, this is a disaster here for Cure. I mean, he still has a large army. And it's still a very scary army too. But we're getting to the point where he effectively needs to win the game with the army that he's got. And in the meantime, Dark, I mean, he can reinforce this army that he's got a couple more times. That's scary attack though, that is a lot of libs. Parasitic Bombs apparently is the way we're gonna try and kill this. Parabomb deals 120 damage. Those Liberators at full HP have like 180 or 170. How much is it? Yeah, 180 HP. Gonna need a lot of Vipers for that. Expansion does go down. Zerglings in the meantime got cleaned up in the natural expansion. Props to Cure here. Actually re-securing a base here. At the 4 o'clock position of the map. That is not easily done. I do like the abductions a little bit better. Yeah, GG. There it is. Dark ends up winning game number 2. Alrighty, final game for today. It's gonna take place on the map Alcyone, and Cure decides to send out an SCV right at the very start. Are we gonna try and block the Zerg from taking that base, or are we gonna be annoying? No, we're gonna be annoying. SCVs coming across. Yeah, you don't need to mind that one out. Your friend has already done it. You can harvest one of them though, I guess. So if you build 2 barracks over here, and your buddy ends up mining out one of these small mineral fields, yeah, you guys can still get up to the high ground relatively easily, straight into the main base. Interesting, we haven't really seen that. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's see. Is this, will this be something that Dark is actually gonna scout, right? Like, that's the tricky part. I mean, he is gonna check for proxies on his side of the map, so he's ready all around. But he's not really set up to see these 3 barracks. Okay. It's actually going to be a Marine proxy. Oh no. Oh, this is about to get real awkward. Oh, I thought for a second Dark wanted to go for a gold. No. What? Dark, you're helping him! Dark's scouting. So he's scouting for any proxy shenanigans. He's decided to go for a gasless opener. Oh no. Gasless opener into a quick third. He accidentally opened the door. Cura's gonna see this right now. Yeah, he's that SCV got a massive fright. He's like, wait a second. Okay, perfect. Yeah, just walk around it. Walk around it, go for the natural. That third is dead. I agree. Oh, this is such a jerk move right here from Cure, but you love to see it. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you can kill this with slow Zerglings. You have to kill this before it really gets going. So drones are pooled. Will Dark be able to control this properly? 1 SCV, or 1 drone rather, 1 Zerg SCV goes down. Marines trying to stutter step around, but they do end up getting surrounded. My god, those guys are looped up somehow. Big tub of Vaseline somewhere inside of these barracks, dude. They get greased up. Yeah, third base is dead. Bunker did finish, but it looks like we're gonna have to salvage it. No, don't get greedy. Oh my god, he does not have to salvage it? Nah, it's gonna go down. That was unnecessary. I think that's a little too much right there from Cure. Now he lost 3 SCVs as well, which makes this early game a lot more doable for Dark. I think he should have gone home. Yeah. Yeah, he's still making 3 Marines here at once. Brenda's taking a lot of damage. Jimmy gets shut down. Jimmy's been in every game so far. It's a bit sad maybe for Jimmy, but... he's just a popular person. Commanding Officer Jimmy. Now, Cure doesn't know that link speed is not yet on the horizon. So we don't have a gas geyser taken here at all. I would be very scared right now if I was him. To stick around here. Like, he's taking a big gamble. I think, yeah, it's time for the flight of shame. This is where Terran players cry. They don't like it. It makes them feel bad. This is where you have to admit that your early game shenanigans did not win you the game. But in the end, this is kind of like salvaging your bunker rush, you know? Like, it's not really that big of an issue. You could double down and just make non-stop Marines. Cure is basically saying, though, that, hey, if there is link speed, you guys, and Jimmy doesn't yet know this, but you guys would all be dead. Instead, what we're doing inside of the main base is command center, command center. So structures today come in rules of 3. We have 3 depots, 3 barracks, 3 command centers. Don't look at that guy. Just if I move him off screen like that. Okay, now you can't see the 4th depot. 3 depots, 3 barracks, 3 command centers. That's beautiful. Will we be making 3 factories next? I'm gonna say no. Well, there's factory number 1. I'm gonna say that no. No way. Horrible idea. Do we go double tech lab now, though? There's 1 tech lab. What are you gonna get? What about you? Yeah, you were providing high ground vision. Okay, reactor. I guess you still just go 1 tech lab, because you won't have gas anyways for both upgrades. Oh, that is not one of the options, Cure. It was either a reactor or a tech lab. Not neither. I guess you wanted to save a little bit of gas to be able to go into that Stimpack upgrade a little quicker. And then go for the reactor. Now. Nope, never mind. Now, Cure's just out to make me look dumb. That's okay. That's okay. If I had an opportunity to make myself look dumb, I would also take it. Starport coming up instead. And we're gonna go for a reactor on the factory to do the big switcheroo and go into double medevac production. There's the Bailing Nest. Lair. Double evolution chamber. 3rd hatchery is going to finish up momentarily. And Dark, I mean, he's playing some relatively passive games, right? Like, it's obvious that he's taking all of this very serious. But Dark from a couple months ago was kind of winging it a lot more. There's Jimmy again. Oh no. Yeah, no, you achieved nothing, Jimmy. You just got your boots dirty and then you died. At the very least, I'm assuming the creep sticks to your boots. Oh! Hey, see, I was right. Haters will say I wasn't. I just predicted the reactor a couple minutes earlier than it actually was gonna go down. To be fair, he could have built it like 4 times already, but... yeah. Apparently we didn't want to. 1-1 upgrades coming up for our Terran player. Bailing speed coming up for our Zerg. Dark not messing around though, with like a quick Nidus Worm, Muta play, super fast hives, none of that. We are playing dangerously standard. Not even a random Baneling bust or something like that, you know? To be fair, this particular series is from the Masters Coliseum, which has like a little over $40,000 on the line. So I guess the man doesn't want to take any chances. And you know what? You can't blame him. He seems to be a lot more free-flowing in the smaller cups. Yeah, when he's playing for the 17th time in one of the Open Cups against Hero in the Grand Finals. Apparently you gotta go for your proxy hatch into proxy hatch into proxy hatch into proxy hatch build. But when, yeah, there's a little bit more. Apparently Dark does play normal. Dang, you guys are just left alone. You guys are just stranded. Well, these guys were not stranded and they still didn't get saving. Okay. Yeah, now they go home. Alright, a little awkward. They decided to take their lunch break on the enemy's end of the wall. It's not ideal, but not the Navy SEALs at the very least of the Terran Dominion, I can tell you that much. These guys are properly trained, but not very clever. +2/+2. Started up for Cure. So maybe when Cure played those passive games, right? Where I featured him recently, maybe he was just experimenting with that style. So those were all in the relatively small tournaments. I don't think those series were for like a really massive, large prize pool type of tournaments. Maybe he's just, yeah, experimenting with the more passive approach instead. I'm glad that this is, you know, as far as like his go-to build goes in high-level games, this seems to be his approach, where he's playing the game a lot more actively. Okay. 4th Command Center is going to finish up momentarily. Straight Hydra Den here. Infestation Pit. Are we going to go Lurker Den? Lurker Den Hive. Yep, there's the Hive. This is, by the way, the most forgotten gas geyser for Zerg players. The one that you start the game off with. It's quite common for Zergs to be completely gas-starved and then not realize that they have a gas geyser that never minds since the start of the game. Okay. Gold base coming up right here for Dark. Drilling Claws coming up right here for Cure. Yep, so he's just going for a new expansion and then a new command center. We're getting to the point where Terran will max out. So I would not be surprised to see the little number 4 or so attached to the command center here in the near future. On the production tab at the very least. Because Terrans do seem to be quite fond of making a lot of command centers. Although I say that, in that Serral versus Maru series that I recently featured, it's not necessarily always the case. Maru did not play mass command center. What we have over here though is Dark trying to get the wraparound, but there's enough medevacs available to get rid of all of these Terran units. Except for the Widow Mines, but they ended up firing. Is there enough? Yeah, for Cure to hold on to this base. I wonder if he could commit. Nah, I don't think you have enough, Dark. Well, unless the Widow Mines don't burrow. Ooh, big blunder right there from Cure. Not actually using the Widow Mines at all. Yeah, Dark immediately pounces on top of his army when he noticed it. Kills a bunch of the splash dealers and then decides to get out. So siege tanks and the Widow Mines there are gone. Still no Lurker Den, right? No, so we are going +1 missile. Oh, we're going for a 3rd evolution chamber. Okay. The good old 3-foe build. I don't think it's very good. But I guess if you want to go Hydraling Bane Viper. Yeah, it makes sense. It's always a bit disappointing though. I don't know. I've seen a lot of Zerg players just completely ignore late game units altogether. Like, Dark ended up going Ultras in this series. Obviously in game number 2 they were quite effective. But Ultras really do feel kind of mediocre. Brute Lords are a little mediocre. Lurkers aren't very good. I guess Vipers are considered a late game unit too. Ghost Academy coming up. And I guess that's one of the reasons why we don't see a lot of late game tech from Zergs. The Ghost is pretty good against all of those answers. Or against all of those options, rather. I still find it very funny that, like, the best use case for an Ultralisk in 2024 is against Skytles. Unironically. That's, I think, where the Ultra shines. That makes no sense to 2010 Lowko, but... that's where we see them being used most effectively these days. So Hydroling Bane versus Marine Marauder Medevac Mine? Mule. I've run out of units that start with the letter M. But that's ultimately what Mr. Cure here is focusing on. So it's going to be a dance between early and mid-game units. Blinding Cloud over here. Okay, it's going to force those Marauders to move forward. Ultimately, they will end up killing the base. But that was a pretty expensive expansion to take down there in the end. Here's the command center explosion. Cure has decided to prioritize taking the entire right side of the map. So I think we're gonna go for this expansion soon as well. He is trying to secure this one over here. I would imagine that this base is gonna be coming up at some point in the future. It's quite difficult to get all of this going though, because Cure is gonna be very spread out. Like if he decides to take this base at the same time as he takes this one, that mobility is nice for Terran, but it's not quite as fast as the Zerg. Especially with the unit composition that we see. Now we do have a Lurker Den apparently coming up. Zergling counterattack. Oh, Banelings. Somehow, some way, only snatch 4 SCVs there.
Mineral field depleted. Base.
That very dramatic sequence of the music ended with mineral field depleted. Wir brauchen mehr Mineralien. Nidus Worm together with the Lurker Den. Okay. So maybe the plan is to try and throw one of those Niduses in the main base. Or Nidai? Nidus? Nidusi? Anyways. Could be powerful, but quite difficult to get across the map for the Zerg on this particular one. Because how in the world are you gonna... yeah. Get vision of the main? Liberator ranged. It's not gonna be too far behind. Cure does not seem to rush out the Liberators. Building armor. High-sec auto-trekking. The ultimate late-game upgrades for Terran. I still wonder about that Bjorn game. So I recently featured a Bjorn game where Bjorn got his building armor upgrade before +3 infantry armor. Which I know is a very niche question to ask about and to like wonder about for this long, but like, why? Because he seemed to do it on purpose. Is building armor better than I think it is? Maybe it is. Well, Hydras by themselves, not really doing too well against this army, although it's surprisingly well upgraded. Yeah. Normally Hydras at this point in the game will maybe have +1, but they already have +2 missile with +3 about 40% of the way done. Somehow, by the way, we did get an Overseer across. I don't even know how this guy managed to MacGyver his way towards the main base, but he got there eventually. 10 Lurkers are coming up. I'm expecting a Nidus Worm inside of the main base of the Terran. Building armor is done, by the way. +2 armor for every single one of these Terran structures. Really? Well, that's not where I expected the Nidus Worm to go, I'll be honest with you. We're using it as a retreating worm? Oh, it's because the Overseer ended up disappearing from that location, as Cure is now actually getting overwhelmed a little. Not prepared at all for the Sutter Lurker transition. Then again, though, the Liberators are up in the skies. Do we have enough of them? We have 3 starports. Yeah, I was gonna say, we should be able to produce quite a few more of them. Expensive attack right here for Dark, but also a lot of losses on the side of Cure. 20 SCVs is not that big of a deal, but yeah, Cure just making sure that he does still have enough. We could really kill that Overseer pretty easily. Would not mind seeing the Liberators tickling it to death. Okay. So, we're sitting at 7 orbital commands. I think Dark should take this base over here. Because ultimately that will be the last option that Cure will be aiming at. And I think right now is a great opportunity for Dark to try and steal one of those bases from the Terran. Very frequently, we don't see the Zergs trying to take these bases until Terran wants them. Which seems like a big misplay, right? Wouldn't it be a good idea for him to take this base right now and then transfer drones, for example, from like one of his tucked away expansions, his third and his fourth, up there to mine it ASAP? I think that would be a great play, but we don't really see that. Strategically, at least, it makes a lot of sense in my mind, because Kira is still so focused here on the bottom right-hand corner. Couple of snipes. Pew pew. Pew 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 pew. Liberators setting up shop. Nidus going across the map. Planetary Fortress in a bit of trouble over here. Where are the Liberators? We have 14 of them. Ah, you guys are just chilling at the third base. Yeah, I don't think this is the spot to be, man. Go, 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 go. Okay, well, Planetary ends up going down. He did kill the base in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay. Nidus network once again deployed on the right side of the map. Dude, these Nidus lurker combinations are actually kind of amazing. So that's the changelings over here providing the vision that Dark needs. Lurkers? Ah, okay. Just missing a bit of APM there to unload all of those units. Yeah, sadly, when I recorded the LowkoTV voice pack, we did not have an option for my own sound effects for individual units, you know? More or less like the, you're running out of minerals, or you need more overlords, those sorts of lines instead. None of the that would have been sick. Apparently those aren't as easy to customize. That would have been amazing for the immersion. I love the Nidus play here, though, from Dark. Look at him swarming everywhere he can. Trying to just overwhelm. Now suddenly hitting those Liberators from the back. Liberators, daring guys. Don't be so exposed. Jeez Louise. Planetary, by the way, in the meantime over here is gone. Guys, turn around. They siege up butt first. Unlike co-op, these Liberators are unable to shoot at structures. And suddenly Cure has been contained quite nicely on his half of the map. Yeah, where we see other top-level Terrans dominate and gobble up all of the resources, it seems like Cure is just trying to hold on by the skin of his teeth. Constantly one step behind Dark strategically here for now. Then again, though, it's not like Dark has got that much money in the bank either, right? So he's been losing tons of resources. About 7,000-ish, I would say. Maybe a little bit more in total lost on the side of the Zerg than the Terran. So that almost makes up for an entire base worth. Dark, by the way, did take the expansion that I was considering earlier. Ghost trying to run away. Looks like they will manage to get away for now, but those Liberators, the ones that sieged up butt first, most of them, they're still around. Okay. Finally, Cure bites back. Yeah. Kills a base right there from the Zerg. Lovely. I think taking the gas in particular is the important stuff. But I guess he's not trying to steal these bases. He's just trying to mine them out for his own benefit. Okay. Yeah, and again, Cure is just trying to breathe, but apparently Dark is not allowing it. Ghosts, okay, they do activate their cloaking upgrade. That's another orbital command down the drain, it looks like. At least as the Hydras decide to commit, but the Ghosts are a little overly exposed and they're about as expensive as a planetary. Very pricey units. Look at this guy, enjoying that little shower from the medevac. Okay, yeah, that's one too many Liberators. Dark forced to back off. Immediately, Nidus Worm goes up in the main base. Cure has not been keeping tabs of these Niduses that are going all across. Okay. Nicely done right here by Dark. I love the way he's using the Lurker Nidus combination. Yeah, I think a lot of Zergs are like, well, the opponent has got himself turtled up pretty nicely. There's missile turrets and Liberators and everything is under control pretty well, right? But Dark constantly seems to find angles, little chinks in the armor here off Cure, where he's sneaking through, gets vision, drops down the Nidus Worms, and then retreats again. Really using that late game mobility to his advantage. Cure does shut down another base here. But it's starting to all look a little desperate. Like, you can see his army is constantly moving. Like, if you look at the minimap, he's constantly moving from the outer bases in between them, right? So he's trying to keep everything alive. Whereas Dark is really, yeah, using that mobility quite well. Now suddenly, if we look at the bank, Terran does have the stronger army at the moment. But if you look at the bank, Dark can remax this. So his current army value is about 6,000 minerals, about 4,000 gas. He doesn't quite have that in the current stash, but you can imagine that this amount of Hydras can be replenished very easily. Okay, finally we get rid of one of those units. Maybe a bit too much all army hotkeying here from Cure as well. But he's found another angle here. And this is not one that Zerg can really break. Okay, Dark decides to go for the counterattack, gives up on this base once more. If Cure can mine out this particular expansion, I mean, that would, at the very least, make it much easier for him. The problem is that that is so far away from where his units are popping out of those production structures that Dark decides to go straight from the throat. He sees that the Terran's army is in the bottom right. He decides to go straight for that soft underbelly of the Terran player. Liberators have found a bit of an angle. Okay, Cure is back home. Good hold there. Spore crawlers and creep tumors. Oh, awkward, but the Marines will accidentally kill that base. Oh. What Raynor does very well in the late game is send in Zergling run-bys against Liberators. So you will see him sending in Zerglings into this base for sure. Like, it's one Liberator sieged up in that mineral line. Even 3 Liberators would take ages killing a good group of Zerglings. Those Lings would destroy those SCVs in a heartbeat. I think that's actually something that Dark could be adding in his play as well, because he's got plenty of larva. Yeah, he should have plenty of minerals here to replenish all of this. Because just because, like, this is something that I've noticed. A lot of my games, I see, like, 3 Liberators sieged up. I'm like, no, that base, impenetrable. But Zerglings are pretty good. Also pretty cheap. Once again, we found ourselves a Nidus in the main base. Cure does not have any units protecting it. Although this is a beautiful catch. Woo! Did he just kill 5 Vipers? I think he did. New Vipers are coming up. Lurkers in the main base once again. There were units in the main, by the way. They were just sleeping on the job. Libs now show up. Lurkers are out. Oh, except for that guy. He wants to force another scan. Oh, well. Okay. Close call. But we got there. Yeah, this base is super exposed. I think, Zerglings are rapidly going to be able to take care of all these SCVs. This is what I was suggesting earlier. Quick reaction time, though, from Cure, making the best of this situation. But still, 13 SCVs end up falling. Nice little drop over here in the top section of the map. No council on that base. Hydra's in the meantime taking care of more SCVs, it looks like, but Ultimately, they found the planetary and a bunch of Marines and Marauders. Cure has now been reduced to only 33 workers. That means that he's got 167 army supply. This is a huge Terran army. A very expensive one as well. He does still have a bit of cash in the bank as well to make some reinforcements with. So despite the fact that Dark seems to be dominating all of the battles, I do think there's a chance he's gonna get carried away. Like, he's killed so much stuff now. But this Terran army still needs to be addressed. And it's a very large one. Yeah, the resources lost more and more in favor of the Terran. But obviously Dark has been mining a lot. Do we have the Caduceus reactor upgrade? We don't. That's an oversight as well here from Cure. That's the new medevac improvement. I think it's very good in games like this. Double regen on your medevacs, super powerful. And yeah, these bio units here would stay alive for a lot longer if the medevacs had a bit of energy. They decide to evacuate only the high value units, only the ghosts remain. But against a Hydra Zergling army, is that really what you need? Planetary Fortress here, it does get denied. Vipers with full energy looking for juicy targets, but there's very little of them remaining. Cure's bank has dried up. Dark doesn't have a big economy himself either, but he does have more than the Terran. And he's got a bit of cash. He's even redroning. Going after the base, I guess, that he has been trying to mine for a little while. 6 Infestors coming up. 4 Vipers on the production tab too. Cure, this is when you know things are getting real desperate for the Terran. Just trying to land a lone command center out there. No support whatsoever. Nidus Worm in the main base once again. Widowmine gets detonated. Beautiful stuff by Dark, honestly. This guy is an absolute late game monster. He's just playing really just Hydraling Bane. Right? Lurkers and Vipers and Infestors for support, but it's mostly just Hydraling Bane, just running all over the map. Carving paths wherever possible and, yeah, weakening whatever Cure has been building. How much money is there? Okay. I was gonna say, there's some mining going on here for Cure. He must have dropped a round of mules, and he indeed did. All the other bases that he's got... Well, that's funky. All the other bases that he's got are mined out. 18 SCVs mining 1 mineral field, not quite optimal. So even the 26 workers that he's got may be a little bit too much. This is the last mining base right here for Cure. Can he keep it around? Liberators trying their very best to shoot at whatever they can, but parabombs are landed left, right, and center. Banelings do blow up. Yeah, I was gonna say, this does seem a little overly aggressive. Cure sitting at, well, quite a lot of money again. Those mules helping out a ton. That's the reason for the orbitals. It's not just for the blue, 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 blue. It is also for the good old mining machines. Okay. Cure actually secures another base. Problem is, yeah, there's an expansion all the way in the bottom right, and there's another one over here on the left too. Then again though, this expansion is barely touched. Well, maybe it does not matter. Dark moving forward over here, trying to see if he can shut this down once and for all. Ghosts, ooh, do not get evacuated on out of there. All of them end up going down. Massive fungal growths on all of the bio army that yet still remains. 19 SCVs fall. Orbital command is down the drain. Oh my god. I feel like Dark's been winning this game for 17 plus minutes. Ever since like minute 15, it's been amazing for him, but my god, is Cure making him fight for it. Like, whenever I glance at the minimap, I feel like Dark has got like 70% of the map covered, you know? Cure has been pushed into these few bases for a long time, but he is doing a really good job making the best of the minerals and the gas that he's been able to get. You know what I was gonna say earlier, if he can mine this one, and he can secure this expansion up here, this is still a playable game. Like, sure, Dark has a lot of mining, but in the next 10 minutes, these expansions are gonna dry up. Now, obviously, that would require Cure to stick in this game for another 10 minutes or so. But Dark does not really have that much money. He has 9 Vipers, though, which is an insane amount. I think you just go Marine Marauder again if you know that there's that many units out there. But yeah, this base may just be the critical base in this game. The one that I was suggesting Dark should mine out ages ago. Okay. Did we just have an orbital command die to, like, one lurker that was in range? Barrel bombs? Yep. Oh, that's so painful here for the Terran. No way for them to really be saved. Medevacs also decide to join in on the collateral damage. GG. Rather than fighting this one until the very last mineral, Cure realizes where this game is ultimately headed. It's Dark who obtains the victory, but man, he had to fight for it.